Good afternoon and welcome to the studio here at European Utility Week. With me this afternoon I have Dagmar Bleilebens, who is the head of the MindSphere Application Center for Energy Management. Dagmar, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Claire, for being here.
So when we spoke initially, you mentioned the fact that engagement, particularly customer engagement, was a really important element of you effectively doing what you need to do. Could you perhaps expand on that a little?
Yeah, actually, digitalization is all about the way people are acting. If you actually think about how the smartphone really changed the way we are living and how much more agile, but also more predictable we are, you always send a mail, hey, I'm 5 minutes late, there's a traffic jam, and Google Maps says you are there at 11:45. And this wasn't actually possible before. We need to transfer this actually into the utilities world as well, and need to take people with us, because they are the ones acting. And this is, from my point of view, the most important thing, because technology is something which is shifting really fast and changing very fast. People might get scared or they were fascinated, and we need to understand where the customer is and his team is, so that we can start and get their buy-in to get on this joint journey with us. We know what technology can do as Siemens, and we also need to make sure that our customers trust into technology and the way digitalization can help them. And this is why we are starting the digital journey jointly with the customers at the space where he's standing, going into a joint future, really understanding what the need they want to take out of it.
And you mentioned that there's a question you always ask.
Yeah,
what is that?
The major question is always the why. Why is actually the customer interested to receive additional data? Why is he, for example, a customer said, okay, I want to have more transparency on my assets. Why do you want to have it? And the first answer was, well, we have really rural substations. I want to travel there only once or twice a year, not more often. And then I said, okay, what do you need then if you want to reduce it? What data do you need? What information do you get from the things you have out there? And this is really, what are the devices which are out there? What is their health? And when is the next fault to happen? And these are things we can do with analytics. We have a substation device management, we have asset guard and other things which can do predictions. But it needs to be tailored to the customer need, and really not having a product putting onto him, but really supporting their processes and their way of working. And this is why I think it's a journey.
So what does digitalization mean? What does it mean for you? What does it mean for utilities?
So digitalization, from my point of view, is actually using data to create additional business value, to really get new insights and make life easier for people, make our assets live longer from the information which we have, and also make processes more reliable. And this is all about what now helps us to manage the new energy environment which we have, with renewables which are not really predictable. We know a little bit of the weather, but it's coming in whenever it's coming in. And this is a really decentralized and complex system. So the overall decentralization of energy is actually enabled by digitalization, and also our decarbonization targets to reach them we are only able to reach them if we trust into digitalization of our grid.
So do you have any practical examples or business cases around how this transformation is going to benefit utilities?
We have some really good things. If there's actually a fault happening in the grid, how do you locate it? If we are thinking of a transmission or distribution grid, normally people are calling their providers and say, we have an outage, we have 20 calls, and you know where the grid happens. Mm-hmm. But this takes about an hour or two. And with really having sensors on the lines of the grid, we are able actually to have this instantaneously, get a message on your phone saying, okay, there's an outage, and we also can locate it. And only location of it and getting alert is reduced by 60% by this solution. And this is really reducing the outage time enormously, and really is also helping the people to live.
So it definitely impacts on the way that the utility is able to engage and increase their customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
You mentioned another example just before we spoke. Would you like to elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, it's really about grid supervision. so that we really know what is the voltage in the different grid areas at the different devices, what are the temperatures at the different devices, and thereby we can actually see if there's a constant overload in the grid on one side, which might damage a transformer, which might damage a device, and others which are less loaded, so that we can actually rebalance the grid and prevent outages by actually supervising the grid overall. And this really reduces outage of failures by 70%, and this is really a good number which we have really experienced.
Absolutely. Dagmar, unfortunately that is all the time that we have available today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Claire.
From European Utility Week, thank you so much for listening.